Hi folks, we're back again today and we're back with a repair video today. Obviously from this thumbnail you've figured out that we're going to be looking at repairing, or at least trying to repair, this copy of Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island on the SNES, on the SNES, Super Nintendo, whatever you want to call it. This is the game that we're going to be looking at. I spotted it on eBay a little while ago and it said there was just no picture, no sound or anything appearing apart from a black screen on a known working SNES. So we've got a known working SNES. We've got a console and a cartridge. Let's marry them up. Let's put them together. Let's turn it on. And let's see what happens, shall we? All right, so I've fired up the SNES, the SNES, just with a copy of Super Mario World on, just so we can check that it's running, and it looks like we're all good. So let's just power that down and we'll pop in a copy of Yoshi's Islands. Let's see what we get, shall we? Power on. So we've got a black screen as it said. And we've got a little bit of... Okay, so we've got no video. Okay, not a problem. So let's just stop the recording on OBS and we'll move the SNES out of the way slightly. Let's take a look, shall we? So I think the first thing we'll do is, if you remember back from some of the other videos, I've done common things happen commonly. I think what we'll do is we'll just pop it open and just inspect the board. Now, before I do that, we're going to be using this security, can we get it? Yeah, it's sort of the security screw. Okay, so the SNES cartridges do have security screws on them. So what I'll do, I'll just loosen it ever so slightly with the screwdriver and then the rest of my hand. They have these security screws on. So they're not, not regular screws. You can pick these ends up. They're not, they're not custom made. You can pick them up from eBay, AliExpress, anywhere really where you get your gaming gear from. Like I say, you can put them up for a couple of quid and then they just slot. Well, you either get the ones with the sockets that slot in the end of your socket screwdriver, or I bet you can get ones that are just all in one. So we'll pop that out and let's have a little look at the board, shall we? We'll see if it needs a clean. So we'll pop that to one side a second. We'll have a quick look. Now it doesn't look like there's anything too nefarious on this board. This is obviously one of the later boards. It's more advanced than some of the earlier cartridges. However, it doesn't look... Let me just pop... So we'll just pop the light on just to see if it can help us see anything a little better. Maybe I'll upgrade to one of these fancy microscopes that we see on other videos. Not mentioning any names. So I think the first thing we'll go ahead and do, like I say, when we say that common things happen commonly, is we'll just clean the pins. So I'm just going to use some IPA, weapon of choice for computer and game people. Trying to think of a word there. Enthusiasts, maybe. And we'll give those pins a good clean, but again, they're not dirty at all, really. They seem really nice and clean. The whole cartridge itself seems to be really clean. Obviously, but yeah, there we go, the FX chip. I forgot about that. So yeah, these pins are really nice. They're really clean already. So I don't think this is going to be our trouble spot, but we'll see. Pop them back in. It says all the way around. Not going to do the screws up just for now. Yeah, so we've still got that black screen and the mumble and the rumble. So let's see, what are we going to try next? I suppose logically we would think, right, we need to check that the pins are obviously getting the signal from where they need to get their information from. So we'll get the multimeter out and we'll check that continuity between the pins and where they are supposed to go to. So what we're essentially looking for is, are we getting a beep from the bit that we're expecting to get a beep from? I want to come back to, see, what are those things? Are those called vias or vias or something? They go through around to the other side of the board. Okay, let's is that supposed to be, or is that supposed to be that one? Okay, so we've got that one, got that one, got that one. This is rather tricky on the old eyes. Okay, and then these ones, I mean, I'm not 100% sure if these ones are just, are they spare? This one. Okay, so that's going to something. Is that going to something? That one goes to that capacitor there. That one goes through to there. So, by the looks of it, all the pins are getting some sort of continuity from somewhere else on the board. And what happens if we check them from this side? Would that have been easier? No, they're sort of masked off. So the next thing I want to have a look at is the voltage on that battery. I'm not sure if you've seen my previous video that I did a while ago now, with a Unirally game that was having some graphical glitches, and they were all resolved by me swapping out the battery. So by my reckoning, it might be worth testing So on my multimeter, it's coming up as 3.6, and it's 3.6 volt battery. So yeah, bit of a conundrum, really. Let me do a little bit of thinking. I'll come back to you. All right there, folks. So been offline for a short amount of time and just doing a little bit of reading and research. Probably should have done that beforehand, but hey, here we are. So I experimented by taking the battery out completely, because I did think that if there's some manky data stored somewhere, that might clear it. That's not the case. Maybe that's not even a thing at all, but hey, now we know. So I thought, well, maybe this capacitor is the issue. Who knows? So I did a little bit of reading on the interweb, trying to find out what the value was, because it sort of come off a little bit. And I found a post on Reddit where somebody was asking a very similar question from quite a long time ago. And a very useful contribution was made by a user, I think it was Mr. Pete 1985. I'm going to double check that and rectify that if that's not the case. But and they said that whenever they've had trouble with this game, simply reflowing the SRAM chip is sufficed. So we've got the soldering iron out, reflowed that chip, and lo and behold, it worked. Absolutely made up with that solution. So simply, in fact, so just sort of, obviously one of these joints had dried up over time. There's a bit of a reflection on there. These aren't dry joints. It's just the way the camera light's reflecting and whatnot. But yeah, so obviously some of those had dried up over time, and just reflowing them did it. I put it back together, and then I've took it out just so I can show you guys. But just so that we can double check. Sure, let's get him in, and we'll hit record on the OBS and start him up. And how embarrassing! Literally was just was just working right before my eyes. Should we take two? Should we just assume that it wasn't seated properly? That is unbelievable. It was literally working. And how bizarre. That really is. That really is one of the strangest things I've ever... Well, actually, no, it's not. No, because, these things... are obviously sent to triers. It's not the strangest thing I've ever come across. It's probably a ridiculous thing to say. Let's just try one more time. I've left the OBS running. Wow. Okay. Slightly embarrassing. And a real shame, actually, because it maybe we'll get the soldering iron back out and just reflow them one more time. Yeah. Okay, so I got the iron back out, and I did actually what I probably should have done in the first place and did it properly. Banged some flux on, really went over it nicely, as opposed to just sort of dabbing away and being a bit haphazard, really. And that's sort of me all over, if I'm honest. But anyway, so yeah, we went back over it, put some flux on, cleaned it up afterwards with some IPA, and seriously, it's so tricky to put back together. Ta-da! We have a working copy of Yoshi's Island, and actually let me just plug a controller in, or just fully test it out. And actually, if you'll permit me 5 seconds just to turn up a soldering iron and drop it. Let's get rid of that. So let's see, where have you in English? Yoshi's Island, there's that Super FX chip working in all its glory. So we've got new files, obviously, because I took the battery out, so anything that was stored in that ROM would have, or RAM, would have been lost. But never mind. So let's. Paradise is where the Yoshis live. Wait, the baby seems to know where it wants to go. Yeehaw! And off we go. Come on. We don't normally have this long a wait to get into a game, do we? Welcome to Yoshi's Island. Yeah. So historically, that noise was made to make sure that people would go and rescue Baby Mario, then because they felt that if it didn't make that annoying noise, people would just let him die. So there we go. Right, I think we can safely say that this one seems to be working. We're all good. We're back on, we're back on working, which means I've got a copy of Yoshi's Island to add to the collection, to the cave. As always, if you've enjoyed this video, in fact, let's unpause that so you've got something to listen to as well. If you have enjoyed this video, please consider us giving us, one of them thumbs up and a like, and leave us a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are if you've ever come across, this game that needed repairing. How did you do it? Did you do it this way? Was there a different way that you did it? Did you try other things first? Let me know. Drop me a comment. If you could consider giving us a subscribe, that'd be ace. It just helps us keep the channel moving forward. I say as we edge closer and closer to getting a bit of monetization. Who knows, maybe that'll happen one day. But the important thing is that you've enjoyed this video, because that's why I like making them. From everybody here at Dad Lad Games, it's bye for now, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Ooh.